So in my last post-game video, I said I didn't expect the Bulls to win this game, just like I didn't expect them to beat the Celtics either. This is one of those games where you look at the schedule and you say, all right, this is probably going to be a loss, especially knowing the Bulls were going to be without Giddey and Jalen Smith, and then of course Kobe White was scratched from the lineup given the Bulls are on a back-to-back, so I expected this to be a loss. That said though, I was actually surprised at how physical the Bulls were playing for most of this game, not so much in the fourth quarter, which I'll get to, but up until the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter or so, the Bulls played with some grit, intensity, matching the Pistons' physicality, which we all know they are a very tough and physical team. It's why they've been so successful this season, their defensive tenacity, hustle, and effort, and I really didn't think the Bulls were going to come out to match them at that level, knowing they were going to be shorthanded, and also just knowing that the Bulls oftentimes do not show up and get smacked in the face against these types of teams from the jump, but they actually held their own. They weren't giving up a ton of second chance points like they did the other night against the Celtics, where they allowed Boston to get 20 offensive rebounds. In fact, it was the opposite. The Bulls crashed the offensive boards and got 15 offensive rebounds in total compared to the Pistons' 8. The Bulls didn't really capitalize on those second chance opportunities as they didn't score on most of those, but they were playing hard, fighting for loose balls, getting out in transition. It wasn't always pretty because they turned the ball over quite a bit, 17 times in total, but they maintained that level of physicality to the point that you actually thought they maybe had a shot at winning this game. The problem though was the Bulls just completely fell apart in the final minutes. Now, you can say they just ran out of gas and simply couldn't keep up with the Pistons' physical play. You can say it was because they were shorthanded. I mean, they had to play Ulbrich 16 minutes for crying out loud because they have no other bigs to play right now. Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, all these guys have been in the rotation, but even still, one, the Pistons were without their best player and superstar in Cade Cunningham. They also were without Jalen Duren and Tobias Harris, a pretty big chunk of their scoring across the board. So yeah, I don't really want to hear that excuse. The Bulls simply put just collapsed in the final minutes, breaking down defensively where they were giving up easy dunks and cuts to the basket without any resistance, poor communication on switches, guys looking around at each other, stuff you don't want to see at the end of a game when you're actually in it. It sucks too because the final score really wasn't indicative of how this game went. This game was actually close until the final 4 or 5 minutes. Neither team had led by double digits until then. And the Bulls, after going down 10, they just kind of gave up from that point. They started settling for outside shots, couldn't hit said shots, weren't getting back on defense, and the game got away from them. And the final result looked like a blowout. That said, once again though, the positive takeaway, the silver lining in these recent stretch of games without Giddey and Kobe, Matas Buzelis has continued to show up well. A very strong, consistent stretch of games where he's averaging over 20 points per game on very efficient shooting, and he's been getting it done defensively as well. Tonight, another 20-point effort, 7 for 15 shooting, 4 for 7 from deep, 4 blocks, and there was one block that I actually felt was his, but they gave it to Vucevic. That was in the first quarter, but whatever. Matas has really started looking more confident out there, taking on a bigger role offensively. He's really got that high gather and finish at the rim locked down, finishing with his left hand high off the glass. Still need to see his handles tightened up a bit. There are a lot of times where he's trying to take someone one-on-one to the basket and he loses his dribble behind him. And yes, I would like to see Matas be more active on the boards, just 3 rebounds tonight. But either way, you're starting to see some of these strides in Matas' development that did have me a little concerned just a month or so ago when he wasn't getting many touches, wasn't getting shots up, was being more passive and playing off the ball. I like seeing this more decisive Matas, more active in demanding the ball and getting into the teeth of the defense. So yes, I don't like seeing the losses pile up. It's unfortunate the Bulls have been getting hit with the injury bug and can't quite shake it, but this was a season where we wanted to see Matas take that leap, and we've been seeing that over the past 5 games or so. We saw it at the beginning of the season, then he hit a wall for a bit, and now it's back again. That dunk on Jalen Suggs really catapulted him to a new level of confidence that I've loved seeing. Ayo was excellent in this game, by the way. I do wonder if Billy is eventually going to let him start, although it's nice to have him and his scoring production off the bench. Ayo led all scorers in this game with 24 points on an efficient 10 for 15 from the floor, 4 for 6 from 3, just 1 turnover as well. Trey Jones has been great, especially from a playmaking perspective while Giddey's been out. 12 assists for Trey, but he's not the scorer that Ayo is. In fact, Trey really struggled to get the ball in the hoop. 1 for 7 from the floor, but 7 rebounds and 12 assists. I don't know. I think it's maybe worth exploring. The idea of starting Ayo and have Jones come off the bench to play that lead guard in the second unit. Man, what's going on with Kevin Huerter? Dude has forgotten how to shoot the basketball. 0 for 6 from 3 tonight, 4 for 13 overall. Bulls need his shooting or his scoring in general when they're without their top 2 scorers. Vucevic had another big stat line, 20 points, 16 rebounds to go along with 4 assists. My biggest gripe with Vooch in this game was that, per usual, just isn't there defensively, and he lets guys like Paul Reed and Isaiah Stewart just outwork him in the paint. Beef Stew put up 31 points. He was 14 for 17 scoring, mostly around the basket. Vucevic was just a non-factor on that end of the floor. There was just nothing he could do to stop the Pistons bigs. A lot of missed assignments on switches and getting killed on the pick and roll. So yeah, I mean, strong performance for Vooch offensively, and it was great to see him be more active on the offensive glass, which he usually isn't great at. But I just need more effort from the big fella on defense. Just more effort. I know you're not a great defender, but at least just try and stop some lobs. Is that too much to ask? Anyway, Trae Young got traded, by the way. I'll need to do a video on that on my second channel. My last video that I did on that channel, I talked about how I don't see a path for the Hawks to realistically trade for Trae Young, and lo and behold, 48 hours later, he's moved. So yeah, keep an eye out for that if you follow along on my NBA channel, M1 Hoops. The Bulls are right back at it tomorrow, back home in Chicago, this time taking on the Heat, a team the Bulls have always struggled against. Can't say I see the Bulls winning that game, especially after playing tonight and also still being shorthanded, but you never know. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought of the game. Let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.